During this short presentation, we're going to have a look at the Campaign Manager commands. A command is like a campaign, except instead of displaying media for a particular schedule, the command will actually carry out some action on the remote player. In all other ways, they're similar to a campaign in that they have a schedule and they are also targeted to a particular device. To create a new command, just click the New Command button. As you can see, the dialog is very similar to the ticker in the campaign editor. Instead of adding media or changing the properties of a ticker, we've got a list of commands that we can send. So when a command is published, it gets delivered to the player, and then that command will be executed according to the schedule. Now we'll work through each one of the commands, and I'll talk briefly about why you might want to use it, when it's a good time to use it, and how it's used. The first two commands, turn off and turn on, are what we call soft commands, in that they do not require an RS-232 connection to the display device. What we do instead is to get Windows to switch off the video, and that will usually prompt the device into a standby mode. This is similar to what happens after you leave your PC for a while. The screen will eventually turn off. This is a very effective way of being able to control your screens so that they can power up at the right time and power off overnight. And once again, these two particular commands do not require an RS-232 connection to the screen. The next commands are the turn sound off and the turn sound on, and these commands don't really require much further explanation. They will simply mute the system or unmute it. Get device metrics is a very powerful and very useful command. In order for us to see how that works, we're going to go into the Campaign Manager Service tab. The request playlog command requests the CM player to return a playlog immediately, and this will override the normal postback schedule that the player is under. The request activity log is the same as the request playlog, except that the error log is returned from the player immediately as opposed to per schedule. This command allows you to alter how often the remote player will send back its playlog. You simply enter a time span in hours. The change activity log postback schedule does the same thing, except it is for the error log. Change CM player service call interval changes how often the player connects to the service. You enter a time span in minutes, and usually a time span of around 10 minutes will suffice for most networks. The change remote ID command allows you to change the ID of a player. If we look at a remote display device, we can see that this is the ID of the player. If I wanted to change a particular player's ID, I would choose the change remote ID and I'd paste in the new ID that way. The restart player command shuts down the player and restarts it. Delete CM player data and restart. This command will cause the player to clear its own data and restart. We also call this internally the nuke command. This command also requires little explanation. It's to reboot the remote PC. The set watermark command allows you to choose an image to be used as a watermark. In addition to changing its opacity, you can also choose whereabouts on the screen it will be positioned. The remove watermark command does the opposite. It removes whatever watermark is there. Execute code on CM player is a new feature in Campaign Manager 2, and this allows you to execute any code you like on that remote player. The script window here will accept VB code, so you can write your own code to do basically anything on that remote player. The run executable on CM player allows you to run remote files such as an executable, a batch, or a Windows PowerShell. This is an extremely powerful tool because essentially if you need to do any housekeeping on the PC, whether it's changing the DNS server or doing something that would ordinarily require a remote desktop session, you can create your own script. It could be a batch file, it could be a Windows application, and you can have that run at a certain time on a certain player. Run executable on CM player is a very powerful command that we often use to update remote players. That's the end of the soft commands, or commands that do not require any attached hardware. Now we move on to the hardware-based commands, and these are designed to work with an RS-232 connection to a device, and that device could be a screen or it could be a projector. What we've done is we've built in some commands for, in this case, the NEC devices, the LCD40s and the 4610s. So if you happen to have an NEC device, you can use these commands straight away. In addition, we also provide the custom serial command. This allows you to talk to any device. By referring to the technical documentation of your device, you're able to create any command here, whether it's turning on, turning off the screen, getting the screen temperature, checking for faults, etc. To help you get started with the custom commands, we've added some samples here. So if we go, for example, to the Samsung 400p power off, we can see that the Samsung requires this code to turn off the screen. You would refer to your own technical documentation and enter the appropriate details there. So there is a difference then in the schedule between the tickers and the campaigns. Campaigns and tickers naturally enough have a duration. A command is executed once, and so it does not really have a duration. And that's why you do not see the end box here. There are two options for this. You can have the command execute as soon as possible, and you just check that radio button there, or you can have it occur at a particular time. The advanced schedule is very useful here because you can set up a series of commands to turn on the screens in the morning and turn them off in the evening.